Great. All right. Good morning. All right. People rolling in. Looks like we are recording. Very nice. Hi, Sherry.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome, welcome. Rachel
Thank you
Winter.
for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being here. Well, if anybody has a question or thought about AI for 3 minutes, we can be conversational here.
We said good morning, but I think we have some people joining us from the East Coast too. So there it's already afternoon.
Yeah, true. Morning, afternoon. When I talk to my Indian team, it's good morning, good evening. That's what we say. Do you use Manus? I don't. Cool. Mostly Claude Code these days for me and co-work. Yes, charities will be replying in the chat there. So feel free to drop questions. Hi, Janine, John, Don Fisk.
Howdy from
Hey,
high
friend.
school.
Yeah, that's right. High school classmate there. So I said her maiden name, Don Finnick. But how do you say it? I don't know.
Vintage.
Okay,
Say
good.
that 2 times.
Yeah, Viachich. Was I anywhere close?
Vintage.
Ah, Vincic. Very good.
There you go. Perfect. Yep.
Yep, cool. All right. Yeah, thanks so much for joining. All right, so we're at the top of the hour. I figure I'm going to give 2 minutes before I really get rolling, and then we will get into it. Learn some things we may not know. Good morning or afternoon, Greer.
It is morning for me.
Okay, very good.
Well, actually, no, it's afternoon now.
Okay. Slipped up on you.
Yes, it did. It's been a very busy morning and afternoon.
I
Hi,
understand.
everyone.
Okay, very good. Let me start my screen sharing here. Yep, share. All right. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna put you guys here. See a bit more of you. Okay. I want to make sure I can see the chat. And then it is hidden. There we go. Okay, everyone. Thanks so much for showing up. Let's see. One more thing. Oh, we're up to 15. Very nice. Welcome, everybody. Coming in here. Okay, very good. Well, no telling who will show up in the next few, but we're going to go ahead and start. So, how AI works and getting AI to work for you. And Charity, feel free to let me know if I should be responding to a chat or something like that. The way my screens are, it's very likely I would miss it. So,
That's all right. I got
yeah, awesome. Okay, good. Sorry, one last little adjustment here to see the chat better. Okay, so we will begin our seminar here. So first thing is how much you've used it. I'd like to know a little bit about you guys. So in the chat, you can just answer 2 questions. You've used Chat Claude or similar more than 10 times or so. Say you've used it. You've built something with it. Say you've built with it. You've tried something, tried to automate something, tried automating with it. That's the first question. And then the second one is kind of it gives me an idea who I'm talking about here, talking to. This is a great opportunity, bloomer for the future, a doomer. It's a little bit of both. Very good. Great. Very good. Good. This is looking perfect. Good. Nice, nice. Jingles. Nice, nice. Okay, thank you, everybody. Okay, so lots of bloomers and builders. Exactly. Yeah, this is a good. I can tailor what I'm saying to bloomers and builders. Perfect. So who am I? I'm Joe Sessions. I'm an engineer, mechanical, audio, and I've been a software developer, educator. I've been a part of a successful tech startup, basically helping them figure out what their product should be like, and they're still out there thriving. And then I've written this book in the last year, AI and Ethics, Adopting AI Technology Without Losing Our Humanity. And moving on. So what you'll leave with today, I hope to give you firm points of vocabulary to stop feeling lost in the conversation, a mental model that actually makes sense of AI, and a firsthand experience building something. So, and then also we will be sending you a first lesson from the coming online course. All right. So, and then just letting you know my offers, just letting you think about it. I'm opening up calls for next week. We'll be dropping a link in the chat for you to schedule a time with me. And then a service that's been, I think, is really appropriate right now, and it's really just packs a lot of value, is building an app with you. So we schedule time together, and if there's something in your workplace or something that you go, gosh, could we just build that? You'll do most of the building with me guiding you along and helping you. So we'll talk more about that as we get to it. So block one, we're going to talk about computer and AI basics. This is going to be quick. So first, we're going to just talk about the word function. You may have some early life trauma from this in your math classes, but it's just you give an input and you get an output. That's a function. So if it's 2x plus 1, that basically means we double it and add 1. So if you give it 10, you'll get 21. Now, one kind of function that gets talked about a lot now is a model. A model specifically is a mathematical function that represents something in the real world. So your weather app, right? That's a bunch of math. I don't know if you've been thinking that humans are still in there changing those numbers all the time, but each one of those little pieces of data, what's the temperature going to be at 11? What's it going to be at 12? Those are coming out of a math function. How much will a beam bend under load? When people build a house, they've studied wooden beams, and they know if you put a grand piano on it, they have a little equation that tells you how much the floor would go down and then how big a piece of wood you probably should use for how wide the room is. Autocomplete on your phone, that would be a model. It's looking at the words you just said and then what's probably going to come next. And as we'll learn today, that somehow is done with math. So then there's two kinds of functions also that are used a lot. I mean, these words are starting to be used around AI because they describe it very well. So a deterministic function is kind of a computer software word, but I mean, this is software. So a deterministic function will give you the same output for every input, predictable, trustworthy for repetition. For example, 2x plus 1, that's always going to give you the same output. If you give it 10, it's always going to give you 21. A pro cook making a dish. This is a little cute example here, but you give them the same ingredients, same steps, same recipe, they give you the same dish. A non-deterministic function would be a function that gives different output each time. So that's like ChatGPT. You may have given it a prompt and it actually gives you two answers right there. Yeah. And when I cook eggs, they come out different every time. And so I'm a non-deterministic cook, that's for sure. So AI is non-deterministic, but it is still just a function. So we're going to go a little deeper into these things. So what is machine learning? So this is how artificially intelligent models are trained. AI models, like your weather app, which is one of the first ones we came into our lives, trained on enormous amounts of past data. So using math, you just feed it this, you feed it all this past data, and a computer program runs and adjusts the function until it matches reality as best it can. There's not a human using judgment going, well, I think it's a little more this way, a little more that way. It's just the data goes in and the model gets adjusted and adjusted to fit that data as best it can. We're going to see a couple examples of that. So this is a ultra simplified way that our weather app, you could think about our weather app, okay? So we're going to say we have these two weather stations, A and B, and we want to use those weather stations to predict the weather in 2 days from now at point O. So we have tons of past data. So we're going to just start with training with one first day. So let's say there was no training yet. They would be equally weighted. 0.5A plus 0.5B equals O, what the weather here. So it's basically average those two and you get O. It's a weighted average here. So let's say the first day, we get this kind of fluke day we wouldn't expect. So on the Monday, it was 80 degrees down in Mexico. And 2 days later, on Wednesday, it happened to be 80 degrees at point O. Here it was 60. So it seems like that doesn't relate to this weather. But of course, it's just a fluke day, as I said. So then B gets weighted more heavily. Okay, well, we got one piece of confusing data that went in there. But then we keep training other days that happened. So here's a day, oh, well, this makes more sense. On Monday, it was 72 here, and on Wednesday, it was 73. Well, that's very close. So it kind of seems like this data helps us predict that data, and this is way off. So this adjusts it back close to equal weighting. We get some more days. They're kind of all going to be the same way, where this weather on one day is about the same as this weather 2 days later. And so the math model starts realizing that it just mechanically does this. Like the training is just adjusting these numbers, and every time A looks like the stronger match, it gives more weight to A. So after 1,000 of them, it may realize it may land here, which makes sense to us because, why would we expect Mexico City to give us much of a read on what the weather is going to be like 2 days later? And at this point here at O. So it just mathematically, with no human judgment, just looking at the data, it just comes up with most of the weight comes from A. So, all right. So if we had another one where these were in more sensible locations, it might come out that they're pretty closely weighted, but the weather mostly comes from the west. So over lots of data, we would find that A is more of it. So this is machine learning. There's no human involvement in this. There's no weatherman figuring this out. It's just being trained. So you hear this word, the model being trained. So this is one of the big ideas I'm hoping to help get across. Of course, a real weather model uses tons and tons and tons of weather stations, and not just their high temperature, but their humidity, wind speed, wind direction. It's way more variables than a human could work with, but they set up a training system. They feed 70 years worth of data through it, and it adjusts how much importance to give to each one of these inputs. And so this gives you some idea of what that kind of learning could be. So what is machine learning? It's trained on enormous amounts of past data. This is done by lots of math, not humans tuning it to success. This isn't like the mechanic of 50 years ago adjusting the car till it runs better. There's no human, there's no judgment. It's just the data trains a model. That's it. That's the whole thing. It's not alive. All right. So what is machine learning versus software code? So software, that's written. That's like if X, then Y. And once it's set up and written, it always does the same thing, and it can be inspected. We know how it works. Sometimes the bug is hard to find, but we can find the bug and fix it. That's always true. AI is not really written. It's trained into existence. It's sort of grown on the data fed into it. We can't look at the trillions of numbers and know how to directly adjust any of those as humans. We can just train it on more stuff and see what changed. Now, I'm probably oversimplifying there. These guys that are building these newest, latest, and greatest models definitely have ways that they can guide the training that they're doing. But I just want to kind of give that idea. It's not like hard and fast stuff. All right. Yes, thanks for the compliment on the egg cooking example. Everybody doing okay? The faces I can see, you guys look bright and happy. It's good. Okay, I think this is an important point. This is actually my favorite slide of the show. This is the Jane Austen proof of no life slide, I call it. So Wall Street Journal, they hired some researchers to train a model on nothing but Jane Austen's collected works. That's 800,000 words. So they didn't give it any other text. Jane Austen is, of course, public domain. It's not copyrighted. Anybody can use it and print it. So they gave it this prompt, and so they trained it, and then the test was giving it this prompt. You must decide for yourself, said Elizabeth, and then what is to follow. So they poured all that text, all 800,000 words through it one time, and the procedure was adjusting these parameters, they call them. They're adjusting these parameters. You'll sometimes people talk about, the newest Claude model has a trillion parameters. It's literally adjusting a trillion little numbers on data that has been poured through it. So pouring those words through one time, and then they said, okay, you must decide for yourself, said Elizabeth, and model, tell us what follows. Well, the first time it's total gobbledygook. Like it doesn't even have spaces. It's got numbers in there. It's got no spaces. It's got a hyphen. Like this is not even close to English. This is just noise. The model is so unrefined. It gives us that. Okay. So then we run all those words, all 800,000 words through the model 250 times. Each time it goes through, every little bit that goes through, some parts of the model get adjusted. to where it fits that better. Now it says this, grob, like blah, blah, blah. It at least has spaces. There's no numbers anymore. The word the shows up twice, and other words that are trying to be the. And so it's getting better. Okay, 5,000 passes. Now they're all words, but it doesn't really mean anything. Rather repeated, an unhappy confirmed to them of very too much weather than quite to her. They're all words. They're spaces. No punctuation. That's 5,000 passes. And this is the model getting closer to predicting something that might follow. You must decide for yourself. Okay, so then at 30,000 passes, it's adjusted these things closer and closer and closer and closer. And so it more and more predicts what follows it. Honestly, if they did like, I don't know, 1 million passes and you gave it any section of the book, it would probably just start telling you the book because it was trained exactly on those books. But anyway, at 30,000, you must decide for yourself, said Elizabeth, rather repeatedly. That is very agreeable displeasure in the country, said Miss Bingley, but I do not see how it could be otherwise. Okay, it's a little bit illogical, but it's actually trying to, yeah, Sherry, I see that. Yeah, it's actually, it's close. Like the punctuation's right, the commas are in there, it's sensible at the right places and everything. So good, moving on. This one thing I like about this, though, for me, this really showed me, like, when I started using ChatGPT, I felt it was kind of a weird black magic thing, and I didn't really understand because computers had never behaved this way. So anyway, this made it very clear to me that this is just math. Children don't start talking this way, right? That would be actually freakish. It would be scary. I would have nightmares if toddlers were like babbling weirdly, blah, 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 and then they occasionally started saying mama in the middle of all that. Like it would just, so this is just it's just totally a different thing, and it is derived from math. All right, so what is an LLM? I'm sure everyone's heard this term. I'm pretty sure. They're just large language models. So we've built up this idea of what a model is so far. It's some mathematical thing that predicts things in the real world. Now, when you feed it all of the internet to be trained on, that's a large amount of language. So it's literally a large language model. That's what the thing is. So it's trained on an enormous amount of human written text. Lots of it's just from Reddit. If you're familiar with that, it's just a chat thread site. Its core trick is predicting what comes next. That's it. That's the whole thing. Think of it as predictive text on your phone, which we've had for 15 years. It's just scaled way up, and they've gotten way more fancy with it. All right. So when thinking about where to use this tool in perspective, in work, putting this in perspective, it's like AI is like a brainstorming partner, like a very creative type who's like brilliant in a retreat setting, but will do whatever you ask, but with zero detail orientation. It's getting better on all these things. All these things are going to keep improving year by year. But to throw AI into like a public-facing role, that's a big ask. People do it, but it's a big, big investment. But it's super useful, as many people see, as an assistant, someone to talk with, and as long as you are examining all the output, there's very little risk. I mean, I have had people tell me it's given them a lie, and then they went out and said it, and then they had egg on their face. So you do have to fact check it. But, as probably 5 years from now, you won't have to fact check it. But if you need something done repetitively every time, that's just software. Software does the same thing perfectly 10,000 times in a row. No creativity, no judgment. Any app you use, when you use word processors, you expect, the tabbing to work the same way every time. And so let's throw AI at it. Is often like expecting the brilliant but unreliable brainstorm partner to act like the repetitive specialist. This is where a lot of implementations of it go wrong. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the app versus the model. And I think this really clears up a lot of questions for people. I hope it does for you guys. Without further ado, here we go. Why does it seem like AI has a memory if it's just a function? Have any of you guys ever had this concern that like it remembers something about you from another chat a month ago? You're like, how does it know that? Does that mean everybody? Does that mean it's trained? The model is trained on what I just talked about last week and it remembers everything and it's getting smarter as I go? It's actually not like that. There's parts of it like that. Let me explain. If you were talking directly to the model, like the latest one at chat is GPT-5. Exactly, that too, Thora. And sometimes it doesn't when I wish. Yeah, that's right. Okay, good. I'm going to just continue. Thanks for the notes in the chat, for sure. So if you were talking directly to chat GPT 5.5, I actually had this set up about a year ago, and it was very illuminating for me. If you're just talking to the model and you just give it what's 2 plus 2, and it says 4, and you say what's 1 more than that, the model itself would say 1 more than what? It literally would have no memory of this thing above. Now that is if you were talking just to the model and not the whole application. So that's like Drew Barrymore in 50 First Dates. So if you haven't seen this movie, just quick, I'm going to utterly spoil the whole movie before this is over. I'm sorry. It's a mediocre movie. It's cute. But she has this injury in a car wreck where every morning she wakes up and she doesn't remember anything since the accident. She remembers her whole life up to the accident. Oh, it's funny. Good. It's a fabulous movie, Sherry. Fabulous movie. So she doesn't remember. Every morning she wakes up, she doesn't remember anything since the accident. So on one morning, she hits it off with Adam Sandler. And, of course, you can see where this would go. The next day, he tries to see her again, and she doesn't remember him. And it goes sideways and backwards. And somebody tells him what's up with her. He finally gets the dad's approval, who's sort of been shielding her whole life. And they come up with this idea to give her a videotape every morning. So this is very much like what happens every step of the conversation with an AI. You ask it something, the app packages something and gives it to the model spits it back, and then you get the response. It's the packaging of what we call context. So it gives it the whole conversation to go in there. And then actually, after that, it's not only going to spit back what it thinks you should be told, but it also spits back what it thinks should be changed in the memory. Like if you gave it an instruction, like, please don't ever use an M dash. So it would maybe say to you, okay, we won't use an M dash. And then it will put it, and then it tells itself to put in the memory, never give him an M dash. So then that thing of never give him an M dash should go in with the context, hopefully. But it also has to choose how much context to give it. Is it going to give it a 30-minute videotape, or is it going to give it a 5-hour videotape? I mean, if you give Drew Barrymore a 5-hour videotape, every day she's going to waste half her life. I mean, a quarter of her life watching the videotape. So this becomes a part of it. So Adam Sandler is the app that has, sort of the instructions about what to put in the videotape. And he's got his memory and things, and that's what all goes in the videotape. And the Drew Barrymore is the model. Every morning, every turn, the model wakes up and goes and reads the whole thing, the whole conversation. And, when they get a new model, it's kind of like the next actress. That's just allegedly going to be a little smarter and by definition, a little younger. And she's going to read the same videotape, but have a little bit different processing about it. So this is what it actually sends to the model. He's Joe, no emojis. Don't use M dashes. Here's the conversation so far. So if the next one says, what's one more? And it has had the chance to read all of this. It goes, oh, well, so far he said, what's 2 plus 2? And I said 4. What's one more? Now it can very easily say 5. Now, what all is going to be a part of this context window, as we call it, the whole context package that goes in there? Like, we don't get 100% control on that. That's kind of what those companies are trying to optimize and make better month by month. By the way, also, I'm going to talk about the system prompt. You'll hear about these leaked sometimes. This is basically the company like OpenAI or Anthropic. They engineer this long instruction that the thing reads every time. You are a ChatGPT. Be a helpful assistant. So they kind of try to keep those secret, but those get leaked. But these are like some of the most important decisions those companies need to make about how the thing's going to behave. Is basically what's the main instruction that it gets every time. Okay, let's see if we're past 25. Oh, we're at 26. Okay, good. I made this note for myself. I don't want to spend too much time on this. At 1 minute past. Okay, I'm just going to tell you a couple things about if you were going to build something. We'll just keep it real simple here. So when we have data we want to pass from one of us to another, we use a form. Go to the DMV, you get a form. It's got a heading, it's got little labels on each little box. They're grouped. Some of the lines are thin. Some boxes are grayed out to, don't fill in here. That's how we pass big pieces, like big collected bunches of data. Computers do this with a data object. They don't do it visually. So when my weather app wants to get the weather, it's not going to go look at a web page. It's going to go ask for a data object. We're not going to get deep in this. Don't worry. It's very simple. But you've maybe heard this term, an API. So an API is basically a door between apps where they can talk to each other and they don't need to look at their web page. I mean, there are fancy ways to make a computer program go look at a web page. But when programs are cooperating with each other, there's an agreement for two things to work with each other. They have an API that stands for Application Programming Interface. So it's just their agreement on how they're going to talk to each other. And they basically send across a data object like trips. So did I miss a word? Yes, thank you. I got it right. Okay, good. And so here's an interesting one. I'm going to drop in the chat. And so these things are. So I wrote up here JSON. I just think this is just a little bit behind the curtain. That if you just know that this is how things work, it just kind of simplifies things. I'm not trying to make you go to computer school, but if you drop this in your AI, you could copy that at some time and just fill in the one blank. Yes, thank you, dear. JavaScript object notation. JavaScript is just the language that your browser uses to make fun things happen on your browser. And so when something sends some data to your browser, it sends it in JSON. And so anyway, if this is interesting to any of you guys and you have ChatGPT or Claude or Grok or something open, you can drop that in there, change one word, and it'll just give you an interesting little data object. Give you guys just a couple minutes with that. Anybody get something interesting yet? Yeah, it's not pretty. That's true. It is pretty easy to read as a human. I mean, you can look at it and sort of understand it. Anybody got one? Anyone brave enough to drop one in the chat? There's one. Thank you. All right. Summer Connectivity Awareness Campaign. So this is great. This is for Summer Connectivity Awareness Campaign. Good. So marketing director. And so it just made up a bunch of data here. Here's the budget. Here's how much spent. Here's the currency, target audience. So you can see, and then it makes this little list of different channels it's going to promote on: email, LinkedIn, and Google Ads. I guess I should just drag this over here. Silly me. All right. So you can see the square brackets make a list. So the channels, it's got 3 things in it. You don't have to like learn how to write this or anything. Honestly.
That on the screen that's shared with us.
Oh,
Yeah.
because it's a
On multiple screens, but yeah.
I dragged it over here, but because it's a meeting chat, it's not showing it. Sorry, I could.
That's okay. We can see it in the chat.
Yeah, I think that's yeah, good. Totally fine. Mine is so long. Okay, good. Totally fine. I'm just gonna show it. You guys all see it in the chat though, right? Everybody found it in the chat?
That's right. We can see it easily.
Yeah, cool. Okay, thank you, everyone. All right, so we're going to move on to what it's like to build software now. Now, I'm not going to have you do this in the meeting. You can do it right after the meeting at lovable.dev. It's just, I will lose all of you. You'll be fascinated. You'll be fascinated when you do this. So don't do it. Okay, pinky swear. Here we go. So lovable.dev will build an application for you. It is text to app. Sometimes we talk about text to image, what you can do in ChatGPT and stuff, but you can go from text to app. It's amazing what can be done in lovable.dev, and it's got 5 or 6 competitors. Lots of places will do this. So you give it text, description, and it'll make apps with it. And there's people who have made money with them. Like, it can be a real app. Yes, Base 44, I believe, is compatible. It's the same kind of thing. Most people who really work in software would use this for a proof of concept tool. And I have clients who they realize they want it as, sort of behind their sign-ins that they have with Microsoft, so that only the people in their company can use it. And so we build it a little more fancy than in Lovable, but it's kind of the same idea. So I'll give you an example. I did. Okay, that a little out of. Okay, so we're not doing this. We are going to here. Here's my example. Okay, single prompt. I actually did this in the middle of a workshop once upon a time. And then I had other people do it. We had more time. But I definitely lost everybody for half an hour while they were enjoying this, which was great when we had the time for it. So this is what I did. Make an app that allows me to keep track of 4 bowlers playing on a homemade bowling lane we have. I don't have a homemade bowling lane, just to be clear. I would like it to show a graphical layout of the 10 pens with checkboxes in each place. We should have scores as they go. That's all I told it. That was my text. That was my input to this function. I did not correct it further. This is what it spit out. It made the app. It was done in about 10 minutes, maybe 7. So it worked where if I click these things, I think, yeah, here, I'm actually just going to take us to it. Nothing like the real thing. Hopefully this will share. Wait a minute. Oh, I have the wrong link there. Okay. Luckily.
It's okay. We can still see the example. You can talk people through it.
Understood.
With the pins that you click and such.
Yeah. I found it. Moments. So, like, you just click them and it records that and record the roll. I did no further testing. It knows everything about how spares work and how the scoring for that works. So it recorded 7 and then the spare, if you've ever played that. I'm going to do strikes here real quick. And then here, so if we get another strike, it should give us 17, right? Adding in the 7, no, 20, because it finished there. All right. And if I give a strike here, it's not going to record anything because it's the next 2 rolls. Strike here. This one's going to give me, oh yeah, it's not even ready for that. You guys get the idea. 30. It starts putting these in. It works.
There's really
It does.
good bowlers.
Yeah, these are really good bowlers. Yeah, for sure. The pros. So at any rate, I just have to do one more. There we go. There we go. Puts the 50 there. So how do you have the ball hit the pins? No,
Oh,
it's
just a
just
score sheet. Explain that you were playing bowling with real bowling, but you would record the score here with a self-made app.
yeah, it's just a scorekeeper. That's all it was the idea that one could create an app this easy. It seemed like a way to do it. So let's see. Let me get back. Let me just get this out of the way. So we're here at a very unusual moment. Let's see. The tools are very powerful. The access is wide. I mean, anybody can sign in and get these things. You can sign up for Lovable. You can do what I just did for free. You don't even have to give them a credit card. So it basically lets you real quickly. You see possibilities. And one thing that I'll just try to summarize real quick. You know how streaming services at one point for your movies were too good to be true? Like too cheap? Like, holy cow, why would I do anything else but a streaming service? I can get all the Disney movies for $3 a month or whatever it was. But it doesn't actually work financially for those businesses to do that, but they get you on the platform that way. And then they turn around and figure out how to make money off you. And there's a guy who wrote a book on this, defines it really well. There's no children in the audience. It's called Enshittification. That's his book. And it's basically this process of turning things from, wow, this is amazing, to now I feel like I'm not getting the same experience I was. That's going to be the case with AI. It's talked about frequently. They sell it at a loss to us. The amount of expense of the servers and the electricity that goes into all of this, they're not making a profit. So great for us at this moment. This is the time. They've already talked about token prices going up with some things that have been happening with those big companies this last week. So this is a really good time to build this muscle and learn how this works. So yeah, first one's free. Good. Yeah, exactly. Tokens are the devil. Yeah. Tokens are the little units of how much your AI is processing. Did you give it a long prompt? A lot of times that's because you're in the middle of a long conversation, and it's like we said, it's watching a long videotape. You're using a lot of tokens. So they're just selling something way below cost and getting in there, understanding how you can use it. And if you right now build a piece of software that you doesn't use AI itself, but you used AI to build it, well, if the price of AI goes up, you've still got your app. So I'm going to get into an example here that I have. And you guys, we're going to have the Q&A session starting about now, but what I'd like to do is I'm going to talk about the offer that I have. You can listen to that. Charity's going to drop the links in the chat, and I'm just going to talk a bit about my offer, and then you guys ask your questions, and then I'll take those up at the end. So basically, DWY, done with you. This is, I think it's an incredible value. If you mostly just look at your enlightenment, your continuing education, if you will, build your own internal app with me helping you. We get on Zoom calls over the course of a couple months, over the course of around 10 hours, but basically just till you're happy with your app. Then that's the service. And so you'll have a working app live. You'll come up with stoppers and bugs, and your AI is going to tell you things you don't quite understand. I will clear that up for you right in those moments in real time. We'll get some things set up. You'll go spend a couple hours on your own, building it out further. We meet again. We solve more problems. We refine how you're working with it. We, the setup wall, if you want to build something that's actually in your organization's, sort of network of signups, like everybody's on Microsoft because you have Microsoft accounts with Outlook, your app can be built in that environment so that they already have their accounts. They don't need new sign-ins for your app. And so getting that set up for you, getting through problems along the way, and get it to where this actually feels like it works. This is where I come in and help. So you drive the keyboard. I make sure it ships. Ships is software for it gets released and people actually start using it. What's often been happening is they do actually do it live in their business, and it's only in the real use that they can envision all the things the software should do better. So we iterate rapidly, very rapidly, and get something that really helps your business. And suddenly you've just built software. So this link is there. You guys can read through this more after. I have one local win here out in McMinnville. Some of you might know Shannon. And this is what she's built. I don't have all the pages here because of the personal info, the identifiable information and such. But it's she's building this. She's on her way, and has no software development history. Her situation was she has all these interconnected apps that do the various little things, like send the reminder texts to people to come to their appointments, and tracking them, sending them emails at the right times, and all this stuff. And she said it's a web, and it's so hard to keep track of it myself, but especially to train new people on. And it doesn't still do all the things I need it to. And it doesn't present it in a logical fashion. I'm jumping from window to window. And she's like, I think I could build a thing that would do the whole thing. And these AI programs, they know what a CRM is. They know how they're built. They know what the other ones out there are like. And so you say, well, I want it built like this. You just describe it in English. And so she's doing it. And she, this is a tool. I think the way I sort of put this is what's really become real to me is like right now, no one would ask if you showed some spreadsheets in your business that are worked in your business. No one would ask you, did you buy that spreadsheet or did you build it yourself? You would say, of course, I built it myself, unless it's like a 10 sheets accounting thing. You might have had an accountant built it if it was a really advanced spreadsheet. But mostly you would, it's a spreadsheet. You make your own spreadsheet. I think 10 years from now, every bit of software that any business runs on will just be what they built for themselves. I think that's where it's going to be, because why pay the big subscriptions? So good one, Dawn. Yeah, so I think I'm ready to answer questions. I would love you guys to load that thing up with questions, and I will answer them. So I think I'll just speak to this seems too easy. I think that's almost a barrier. Yeah, that's why after the call, you guys should get on lovable.dev, and you should come up with one question to ask, like one app, one dream app. I'd love an app that, every time I opened it, showed me pictures of houses for sale within 100 miles of me. I don't know, anything you want. I want an app that shows me the concerts that I like that are coming up in the next month. I don't know. Good. So great. I'll answer that one, Tim. Once you build the app on Lovable, where would someone host the app or use for by others? So you can have people use it on Lovable itself. It does have some limitations, especially when you're trying to use it in your own business. But if you were trying to, like a lot of people have made the $100,000 Lovable app where they set it up, it has some paywall that you have to pay and set up your account in it. And, $20 each, and they figure out how to promote it and they do it. The how to make it what you want it to be, that's often where I come in, to be honest. But it depends on how sort of tech persistent you are, because all the questions can be answered by an AI. You can just keep asking ChatGPT those kind of questions, and it'll keep telling you. But it's also going to hit you with a bunch of things you don't know if you're not a software developer. So you can try to tell me like I'm a seventh grader, and it'll try to do that. So anyway, that's sort of the landscape. Let me read your next question. Would you use an API between your website and Lovable? You certainly could. If your website has some sort of like email collection functionality, that if it's a marketing type website, which most are, then you could build a side app, basically, that there's an API between them. You can totally set that up, and what gets collected on your website gets piped over to what's sitting in Lovable. Yeah, totally. You're very welcome. So again, I think the main thing I want to promote, and I'm definitely interested. You don't have to have a whole plan in mind. If you want to schedule a call with me in the next week, have we gotten that link in there recently? Yeah, there it is. It's just a little bit up. Yep, great. So, any other questions? We've got time. Yep, thank you. Totally, Tim. Good. Any part of the presentation lose anyone? I'm actually interested in. Actually, I've got a question. If you guys are short on questions, which slides or concepts did you find the most valuable? Thank you, Linda. Yeah, absolutely. So let me answer that one.
Yeah, Joe, so Rachel's question, that's good.
Yeah, I'm going for it. Could you talk about when an app might be preferable versus an AI agent versus a project? So an agent, that's a term worth defining. So let's go into that one. So an agent is when the AI is built in a system that's kind of always running. So people talk about setting up an agent, like you could set up an agent that monitored airplane prices. I know you can also set that up on the other end of things in Google or whatever, some price alerts. But you could set up an agent that looked for the cheapest way to get to Seattle, or if there was some deal on that, or was just running and looking for things. So people talk a lot about agents because, it can be a chatbot agent on a website that actually does customer support. A couple years ago, people thought they were going to rush in and do agents for customer support, and the AI wasn't smart enough then. But it's gotten better and better, and now people are doing that. One of the best examples is IKEA. They have this great story, heartwarming story, in fact, where they did develop an agent well enough to handle most of the service requests. So they had, I think it was 1,500 employees that they could have just let go. And so, that's, accounting wise, that's a pretty tempting opportunity. Let's just cut 1,500 off the payroll. But someone had the bright idea. Well, we have these guys, and they're part of our company, And a lot of them they know our product line really well. And I think if we just gave them a little bit of design continuing education, taught them a bit about design, they would actually be like interior decorating consultants and help us sell more stuff. And so they did exactly that. And they increased their bottom line from those extra sales. Something I feel wrong saying billions, but I think it was 1.4 billion. Maybe it was
Yeah,
one.
it was.
Yeah. There you go. Thank you, dear.
They increased their sales over $1 billion by retraining people on how to decorate who had been former customer service people.
Yeah. There you go. So, so for the rote work of like, how do I do this return? Like, that's not really a human creative thing. That was a good place for an agent. And obviously, they had to work very hard to make sure that agent was guardrailed and couldn't be talked into, yes, we're sorry you're upset. We'll send you a free bedroom suite of furniture. Like those kind of, like that was the trouble with the earlier ones. But your agent said I could buy a Honda for $1. Um, and so, an application, it's really, I would say the thing applications are great for is smaller companies. Is the first like, hey, I know what I need it to do. I need it. There's people that are still copy and pasting stuff spreadsheet to spreadsheet in smaller businesses all over the place. And writing things down by hand and then someone's manually typing that in. I'm working with a guy, he's building his app here in McMinnville at Nice Electric. He's like, yeah, this is a job we have. Like, guys write the stuff down. They don't like computers and such, but then somebody else has to read that and type it in. It's like, he's like, I want to be able to take a photo of it with my phone and it gets read right in there. So, he can, especially because he can be his own quality assurance guy. Like, he can see if it's working right for the first 100 times. Did it read it right? Okay, it's reading it right. It's read it right 100 times. I think I'm just going to trust it now. It's a great place to use an app. And so let's see. You had 3 things in that list. I'm just going to look back. App versus a project. So yeah, I think I've pretty well covered that. Thanks for that question. It's really good. Thanks for what helped you guys. Yeah, the 2,500 or the 250 to 3,000, 30,000 passes. Yeah, I don't know. For me, that was just a game changer in my understanding. Yeah, the model and memory, excellent, good. Yeah, it's all just I good. I've got time for another question, but I'll just say my last thing. Yeah, good. Yeah, we'll be sending you guys those things too. I definitely, for the first year, it made me really ponder my my thoughts about what is intelligence, what are people, what is life, and math is not life. I believe people are alive. there is an animating force that runs these bodies around, and it made me question that until I saw some examples that really helped me understand how this was happening. So anyway, hey, thanks for all the compliments, and you're all very welcome. Love to connect with you, and have a great day. I'll be on here for the next couple minutes, and you can, if you have anything else, but we'll be ending off pretty soon. Thanks again, everybody. Great. Yes, Jill, I'll see you. Yeah, that'll be great. Yeah, okay. Linda, we could talk about that. And if you want to set up an appointment, that'd be great. Yeah, you're very welcome, Michael. Repetitively. Yeah. Very good. Yeah, anything you're doing repetitively can probably be automated. That's a really good way to do it. If it's repetitive, yeah, and you can explain it pretty simply, that's a really good. There's some way we can automate that, either with pure old software logic that we build with AI, or I really try to build things that kind of minimize how much AI is in them because it's more reliable that way. It's kind of funny. I've definitely had clients who were excited about, I want an AI thing. Actually, my best client, he came to me, I want this AI thing. And he had actually paid another company 6 months last year trying to build it with AI to basically take one kind of text and reformat it into this 5-page thing. And I said, you actually don't want AI for that. And yeah, and because it's going to do it a little differently every time, and he needed it to come out an exact way. I'm like, it's just not a job for the AI. The AI could do this one little part of it. And then if we approve what it did, we could have regular software build out your big output that you want. And then we could trust that because that's just old software logic. And so, yeah, the non-deterministic AI means you can't be sure it's going to give you exactly what you want unless you really kind of paint it into a small box, and then you can. And so that non-determinism sort of becomes hallucination, where it's like, it said something and it wasn't just what you needed. And, in my book, which is a sort of a separate topic than what we've been talking about here today, I just can't. There's the guys that work on this. I mean, they actually just believe in pure mechanic. 10% of them. This is what I've heard. The guys that are out there building this AI, 10% of them actually believe that everything's mechanical. Like we're just a chemical, thing. And 10% of those guys actually think this is the evolution, that AI is like our offspring and they're going to take over. And what a beautiful thing that is. I'm like, no. Like math is, that's what I've heard. Yeah, 10%. So yeah, anyway, it's just, if you want to check out my book, Joe Sessions, AI and Ethics, if you just look that up on Amazon, you'll find it. But I do think everybody has a voice in this. It's not just for these guys who are building it to decide what happens. It's not just for the top politicians. Everybody needs to be a part of this conversation. Yeah, it's true. A lot of AI initiatives fail. I mean, a lot of any kind of initiative fails. But yeah, this is another good point. It really is because people want it to be AI for a for the namesake. Anyway, I enjoyed talking about this. This has been a great time. I'm just gonna basically say thanks very much, and I hope to talk to more of you guys. And if you have any other questions, let me know. You can get a hold of me. Thanks, everybody. Good. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end off. I haven't ended it yet. It's my thing. There we go.